What's going on, guys? TKD123 video, and today this came out a little bit earlier in the week. I just wanted to give my overall kind of thoughts and impressions about it, and kind of my little 2 cents on the matter, and that is the leaked supposed details of Far Cry 5. Now, there was not a ton of info on this thing. This is kind of vague, kind of, wishy-washy, kind of gray area. But there is some concrete, I guess, evidence to this being the actual case. Now, of course, off of Far Cry 4, right, the massive open world game we all know, developed by Ubisoft and stuff like that. And, it got pretty high reception, it got a pretty good thing. And usually, overall, I feel like the Far Cry games really do get kind of a nice, score overall. I feel like, none of them are really horrible, none of them are really, extravagantly good, whatever, but they have a nice kind of upper mid-range game that if you buy it, you're not gonna be disappointed most of the time. And me, it's been a while since I've played a full-fledged Far Cry game. I played Far Cry 4 for a little bit here and there, but the one I spent the most time in was Far Cry Blood Dragon. Back on the PS3, that was an excellent game. I played that a ton. I love that game. Not really like a full-fledged game, but it was kind of like a side-off, thing, like a little spin-off kind of, just side series style of Far Cry. But, I would love some more of that. But this year, supposedly with, some of these leaks and people are talking about here, we're definitely not going to get that Blood Dragon feel. So this all stems from a person that I guess was working in a newspaper, and they reported that there was being a live action trailer being shot in their state, which is Montana. And, I guess the newspaper and I guess maybe some other sources were saying that this whole entire trailer was a little bit more of a Wild West type of thing to it, with cowboys and horses and stuff like that, and wagons, whatever. Y'all know about the Wild West, right? And so a lot of people assume that, okay, what major game that is the Wild Wild West, is coming out soon, and that would be Red Dead Redemption. I feel like a lot of people would have thought that, this was going to be a live action trailer for Red Dead Redemption 2. However, Jason Schreier, the infamous writer from Kotaku and stuff like that, he actually posted a really funny article today about the player that's on the cover for Madden, and it turned out to be Tom Brady. It's a great post, guys. Go check out that link by Mr. Schreier. That was a funny article, but beside the point, he decided to throw in his 2 cents about this whole thing, and, he thinks that it is not Red Dead Redemption 2, and, his main thing is that, Rockstar never has ever done or really does do live-action trailers ever. That's not really their thing. They don't ever do that for their games, so he thinks that, okay, yeah, this new, I guess, AAA game that they're talking about here is set in Wild Wild West, that is cool, it's set in the cowboy type of era and stuff like that, but he believes that it is not Red Dead Redemption 2, just based off of that sole fact that Rockstar never does live action trailers. And then we got word from the director of the trailer in question, and his name is Jeff Goulier, or I'm just gonna, I hope that's right. I hope that's right, guys. Hope that's right, jeez. But Jeff Goulier, said that the game that he's making the trailer for, right, is going to launch this September, which is really fast here. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't know anything about this game at this point, so I'm assuming this is gonna be 100% set for a E3 2017 release. Maybe according to Ubisoft, this is probably gonna be Ubisoft style. Well, everything's gonna lead to this, but it's clear here that whatever this game is, right, if it's launching in September, it has to be announced at E3. Like there's no way this is not announced at E3. If they want this game to even get some sort of talk in the community, it has to be announced at E3, and that's probably what my best bet is gonna be too. Especially with this game supposedly launching in September of this year. Make that not even next year. No, it's September 2017. And then he also went on to further make the points that this game is going to be a sequel of an existing global franchise, right? So again, that those are words, especially with existing global franchise, that is definitely a AAA sounding title. Definitely is going to be a game that is centered around the universe that already exists, a game that already exists in our mind space, right? So definitely is pointing here to definitely be a AAA game, and obviously the Far Cry series. And then even more evidence to even support this theory. There's a ton of evidence to prove that this is low-key Far Cry 5, but they haven't said anything yet, right? But I believe it was a few years ago, maybe 2014, maybe 2015. But I remember this vaguely. I remember that Ubisoft posted a kind of quiz or survey type of thing where where the people wanted to know what direction or what type of era would you like to see Far Cry in the future, right? So there was a couple options here, but then at the bottom there was a Western theme for one of the Far Cry titles to be made in the future. So maybe they took that to heart, maybe they actually, you know, decided on that thing. But like there was a bunch of other things, like a Far Cry that took place, you know, during the dinosaur age. That would've been really dope. And we kind of low-key got that with Far Cry Primal, like low-key, but not really. And then, damn, like, you know, okay, look, you know, Ubisoft did a lot of things in the past, like, year that really points and makes it really obvious that, you know, their next game is going to be in the Midwest, because apparently here they spent a lot of time in Big Sky County, where they, I guess, interviewed a bunch of people from the town and stuff like that, and got a better feel for kind of how people, you know, that are from Montana, I guess, assimilate in a way, I guess, you know, how they kind of interact with the world, you know, maybe, you know, and that was obviously, you know, for this title here that's being in the Midwest. And then the last thing here that is the biggest thing is that Ubisoft, in their recent fiscal reporting, you know what I'm saying, where they have those calls to investors, where they kind of lay out, okay, yo, we're going to be doing this for the next 2 years, or this for the next year, whatever, so that you can keep investing in the company, and you know, and just know that we are still doing things, and make sure, you know, you are kind of safe with investing in our company, right? Like a lot of people do that, a lot of game companies do that as well, and that's how we get the bulk of our news, you know what I'm saying, is through these investor calls where they say, hey, we're going to be releasing this, and this, and then we, you know, get to dwell on that news and be happy about it. But beside the point, they said that, you know, they will be announcing and releasing 4 major AAA titles, right? And so there are 3 that we know of right now. That is South Park: The Fractured But Whole, Assassin's Creed, and this was made, I believe, in the beginning of the year, right? So if we want to count Ghost Recon Wildlands as one of them, which obviously is a Ubisoft property, then, you know, that would make sense to be the 3rd title that, you know, that they were talking about here, with this thing about having 4 major AAA titles being released in a fiscal year, because that falls in line with the fiscal year that, you know, they were talking about. So that definitely makes sense there. So then we still have one more unannounced game that they suppose that, you know, they will be launching 4 of them. So definitely here that leaves a spot for Far Cry 5. So I mean, you know, there was a lot of evidence here that I actually didn't even realize until making this video. So there is definitely a ton of evidence to back and support the theory that, you know, this westernized kind of commercial is definitely for Far Cry 5. But let me know what you guys want in the, you know, whole entire Far Cry series. Like what type of theme were you looking for here? Now, I personally, right, I was looking for something a little bit more along the lines of Blood Dragon. I thought Blood Dragon was super unique. It was super cool. It was vibrant. It was such a fun type of different game that, you know, we don't, you know, usually get. And I would like to see Blood Dragon, you know, aggrandized to like a better scale. It was like something that, you know, just wasn't just a side series, but something that, you know, they would double down on and make it just look cool. Like it was such an awesome game, man. I feel like that'd be awesome to bring back to the Far Cry series, or of course Dinosaurs, because, you know, Dinosaurs, you know, will also be dope as well. Dinosaurs, I mean, come on, really. But let me know what you guys want down in the comments below. I'm not going to have a short video today, but that's all I got to talk about for Far Cry 5. That's all I got. So if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share down below. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching, and as always, I got you.